Well, we've heard that the NSA already has our personal information, so why even bother with cybersecurity? I'm Ann Laracello, and I'm here with Mitch and Ray to talk a little bit more about this. Let's start off, though, with Edward Snowden.
The NSA collects whatever it collects, and we can have a long conversation about that. Yeah. But the reality is that they are the good guys. They may not be perfect. Now, I'm much more worried about what the Chinese and North Koreans are taking than I'm worried about what the NSA is taking. Now, I think Snowden's made some good points, and I'll let Ray talk about that, but there's a bigger world besides the NSA.
Okay. I used to think Edward Snowden was a traitor, just flat out, okay? That's just where I was. Until Mitch had me reading some books and reading some other stuff. So then I went to Edward Snowden was a hero. And then I ran into some people, so I'm out telling everybody that Edward Snowden is a hero. And then I run into some people that go, not so fast, dude. And they give me some more information, and so now I'm in the middle. Edward Snowden was a NSA contractor, system admin guy, had access to all of our data. He stole 1.5 million documents and turned them over to the press to be released. And these documents revealed the information that the National Security Agency was collecting, all of the phone calls, all of the texts, all of the emails on all of the people on all of the world and storing this stuff for whatever reason. Okay, so big deal, right? And so there's lots to this story, and we can't go there. But it relates back to us and our privacy and cybersecurity. So if the NSA's got all this stuff, why should we care about, or does this destroy the whole premise of why you should have cybersecurity or not? I will now turn it back over to our CISO, Chief Information Security Officer, Mitch Tannenbaum.
So let's talk about, first of all, what the NSA does collect.
Yes, please do.
So the NSA collects, for the most part, what they call metadata. The metadata by itself is enough to fill up all the servers in the world, so they really can't collect all the data. So let's talk about phone calls. What they collect with phone calls is who was the caller, who was the recipient, and phone numbers in particular, what time was the call made and how long did the call last. They're not collecting the contents of you talking to your wife or girlfriend or husband.
Oh, right? Well, they... According to what I was reading, Mitch, they don't keep it for that long, but they do get all of it at some point in the process.
No, so under Section 702 of the Patriot Act, they collect the metadata.
Well, I knew about that for sure.
But they're not, the problem is that there's just so much data. So what they are tracking is all of the web traffic. They're capturing all of that. And again, what they're capturing is headers. They're capturing the traffic as well, but for the most part, the traffic is encrypted. It takes them some work to go decrypt the traffic, assuming they can, depending on what the encryption algorithm that's being used. So, and for the most part, there's so much data coming out of that data fire hose, they can only keep the data they collect for like 3 to 5 days. And it fills up. They built this huge data center in Utah, in the desert in Utah. It's like, I don't know, 1 million square feet or something, just full of storage devices. And even with that, they can only keep the data for a couple of days. There's so much data. So they're keeping voice traffic, they're keeping web surfing activities, they're keeping stuff like that, and they're only keeping it for a relatively short period of time unless it gets flagged. You get, you hit some kind of keyword, you hit some sort of website that they think is a sensitive website, something like that, then they'll keep that data. So that's number one. Number two, unlike Facebook, they're not selling your data. They're keeping it for themselves. That's what their mission is, to protect the country. We can argue about how effective they are and whether they're, but they're the good guys. They're really not interested in selling your data. If the communist Chinese collected, which they did, all of the data about everybody that ever had a security clearance in the last 30 years, that's a much bigger problem, because I have a pretty good clue what the Chinese are going to do with it. And I think that the NSA, their objective is to protect us. And maybe they go overboard, maybe they collect too much, maybe they don't. I mean, we could have a long conversation about the ills of the NSA, and I think there are ills there. But for the most part, they're the good guys.
So, Ann, to your question, if it's in the wind, if the NSA's got all this stuff, what does it matter? Well, what we have to worry, what the rest of us have to worry about in terms of cybersecurity is not the NSA. That's not our problem. Our problem is that billion-man opportunistic army. Everybody out there who can go out there, now you've got these, I can't believe it. I mean, teenagers can go out there, let's think about it for a second. Someone lives in India, smart kids over there, but they're trapped in India. They can't get out of India. They're trapped in some town in India. They don't have the ability to make a decent living in life. Their family is poor, but they're smart as a whip, and they got access to a computer, and they can get to the internet, and they go on the dark web, and they can collect all these hacking tools and hacking methodologies for no money because it's available to them. That's what we've got to worry about. And on the internet, they can find out how to hack us and trick us into wiring money to them.
Let's assume that they are able to go off and con you or me out of $5,000 or $10,000.
Okay,
or $1,500 or $800.
Yeah, either way I'd be mad.
Yeah, right.
So for us, $5,000 is a problem. It may not be life altering. $5,000 to this poor kid in India, well, that keeps him and his family in food for years.
Right.
So there's a very strong incentive in the third world for them to do that, because they can take a small piece of the pie and get some very personal benefit out of it.
And frankly, they feel entitled to the pie, okay? They feel like we've been keeping them out of the pie for a long time. And if I was over there, hey, you might have to deal with me. That's what we've got to worry about. That's why our cybersecurity programs are important, to protect us from these various people out there they're trying to steal from us, whether they're in India or the guy next door over here in the United States that's taking it from us. That's why we have to care. We can't do anything about the NSA, but we can do something about that to protect our family's money and our family's privacy.
And our business intellectual property.
Wow. Well, wow. That's a lot of information to take on. Gentlemen, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. But getting back to our main topic, we do have to do what we can do to protect our own personal information. So for more tips on that, go to their YouTube channel or visit cybersecurity.com, and take note, security is spelled with a C.